Hello, I'm going to continue to read from chapter 1 out of the Talmud Jmmanuel. Regarding the latter falsification of the style of writing of JHFH into JHVH, there is no longer an expanded meaning, because in the old Lyrian alphabet, the letter V did not exist. It is interesting to note with the old style of writing that the original name of the Hebraic JSCHFESCH was not uttered by the Hebranos and was strictly feared, which is why the ancient Hebranos named their JSCHFESCH King of Falseness, Yahweh, which in turn is of importance insofar that this was also originally an old Lyrian word and designation which translated into terrestrial languages means Gevalt, ruler or tyrant. The ancient Hebranos feared this Gevalt, ruler Yahweh, and did not dare to utter his real title, Ishfesh. Following irrational teachings, they thought that the 9-letter embracing name, Ishfish, and the knowledge of the correct pronunciation alone would release miraculous powers, which would bring them death and ruin. Accordingly, the pronouncing of this was exclusively reserved for the priests, for whatever reason. Something similar also happened with practically all other terrestrial human races, which were terrorized and led into confusion by the Gevalt rulers or tyrants, as a result of which the appellation and designation Gevalt, ruler or tyrant found inlet into all terrestrial languages, even into the later altered and new languages. Altogether, the names being referred to uniformly mean Gevalt, ruler, tyrant in the widest variety of languages, but at the same time, this sense was already lost to the human beings of Earth long ago in the course of the past millennia. Due to the emergence of religions, the sense gradually became so falsified that it was erroneously, consciously, treacherously, and schemingly made known to the human beings of Earth that the sense of the word would contain within itself the creational power, the Creator, salvation, life, and almightiness, as well as everything positive. All this against better knowledge, because the name contains within itself death, enslavement, exploitation, and false teachings. And this name of death is God, which is used in terrestrial languages as a substitute and alteration of the appellation Gevalt, ruler. Regarding the designation Ishwish, there is, for example, the degree of the Ishwish and the Ishrish, trying to pronounce the R instead of the W, in relation to technological science, computer science, historical science, chronicle science, medical science, and so on and so forth. The highest form of an Ishwish and an Ishrish is the degree of the spiritual science, in which also creational science and life science are anchored, as well as all the related fields. Spiritual science, and thus Ishwishship, is the third to last degree of the highest Ishwish spiritual knowledge in the spiritual teaching. Contained in the spiritual teaching is the all-embracing knowledge and greatest wisdom with regard to all creational laws and recommendations, as well as their observance in the creation, lawful way of life, etc. And these values must be controlled in the degree of the Ishwish. The Ishwish or JHWH, is only exceeded by the degrees of Schrute and Bandschrute. And Beam, Billy Edward Albert Meier, is a Bandschrute. What is still of interesting, worth to mention, concerning the name God, is that in all existing languages of the earth, it is always only written with 4 letters, and that the respective Kabbalistic calculations of these languages always evaluate the name God as death, ruin, destruction, and damnation, etc. And to show that the death and destruction name God is actually written with only 4 letters in all languages, already since time immemorial, the following short list should make this clear. The 4-letter names of God of the individual peoples and languages. The Abyssinians called God Agzi, Aden Ilio, Egyptians Toth or Toit, Albanians Bogo, Angolans Anup, Arabs Allah, Armenians Abide, Assyrians Adad, Ethiopians Abide, Belgians Goed, Bethuli Silla, trying to pronounce these right. Excuse me if I'm not. Californians, God was called Solu. Canadians Bayud. Copts, God was called Teos. Cretans called God Dios. Latins Deus. Magi Orsi. Maltese Obra. The Moors Allah. Malandahar Abag. Mesopotamians Ella. And the Mexicans called God Boza. Bohemians, God was named Bueg or Berg. The Boyders, Eris, Brahmins, Pora, Cambos, Miri, Karaman, Suna, Chaldeans, Hava, Chileans, Zaina or Hannah, Chinese, Teli, Congo, Anub or Anab, the English, God, Ecuadorians, Hoba, Hobo, Etruscans, Essar, the French, Diu, the Germans, Goat or Guth, Georgians, Modi, the Greeks, Theos, Gymniaphs, Tara, the Hebrews, JHVH or the Ishvish, Hesperides, Agad, Hibernians, D or Daya, Illyrians, Boog, Indians, Tusa or Tura, the Irish, Gudi, Japanese, Zaka, Kabbalists, Agla, the Mongols, Ali, the Hormuz, Alai, Paraguayans, Peter or Pino, Parsis, Bila, Peloponnesians, Deos, Persians, Sipi or Siri, Peruvians, Zimi, Filipinos, Mora or Mara, philosophers, Abda, Phrygians, Zoit or Zent, the Poles, Bug, Russians, Pola, Samaritans, Tyos, Saracens, Agdi or Abdi, the Scots, Gut or Goat, Spaniards, Dios, the Tatars, Anat, Thracians, Kalo, Tibetans, Gina, the Turks, Idi or Adi, Hungarians, Bogi, Zalia, Bora, Zelamites, Para, and Cyrenaikai, I can't pronounce that. God's name was Popa. God with the Plejaren. With the Plejaren, the terms God and Goddess have the meaning of a thought-up, fantastic, mythical being who rules over human beings, animals and plants or otherwise over any things, exercises might, or acts protectively. However, such thought-up mythical beings are in no wise real, and thus are not to be equated with a religious god or a religious goddess, because there are no such fantasy forms, but only the creation. What the Plejaren Ptah explains with regard to God. September 9th, 2010, the 503rd official contact. With us Plejaren, the terms God and Goddess have always had the meaning of a thought-up, fantastic, mythical being who rules over human beings, animals and plants or otherwise, over any things, exercises might, or acts protectively. This concerns instructive fairy tales, that is, invented in fantastic stories. Thought-up, mythical beings, such as a god or a goddess, are, however, in no wise real, and thus are not to be equated with a religious god or a religious goddess, because there are no such kinds of religious or otherwise belief-related fantasy forms, such as a god or goddess, but only the creation. The terms God and Goddess even trace back to the old history of our ancestors, to the Lyrians, who brought these terms, God and Goddess, together with fables or fairy tales, also to earth. So many of such fables or fairy tales trace back to our ancestors as well as to us Plejaren. But at the same time, the human beings of earth have, in part, strongly transformed and changed the story's contents to terrestrial things and circumstances, but back to the terms God and Goddess, which have also equally been used in our languages since time immemorial, as this is also the case in the German and Swiss German language. In the German language, the term has found its way back to its original form, even to goat, while the term goat was converted by the human beings of earth in all languages known to us into all sorts of other term forms, and still exists today in other altered forms. From these converted terms, the God designations then arose in the course of time, as they are common today in all terrestrial languages. With regard to our traditional terms, goat or God, and goten or goddess, the terms goat and goten have, however, ultimately been formed again in the course of the more recent time, in particular from the Germanic term Guda, which was to be understood as two sexes, so thus in the form of a male and a female god. Before the Germanic term Guda, the terms gotu and goden were common for goat, where then from godan, the god term wooden has been formed. Both terms were also used by our Illyrian ancestors in the same wise as goat and goten, as is also the case with us, so as designations for mythical beings or fantasy forms, which stand as thought-up powers over all things, but which are in no wise equated with the creation. Since time immemorial, solely the creation universal consciousness was consciously recognized and esteemed by the peoples, whose original origin traced back to Nocodemian, as the highest form of energy and might, and as the origin of all existence. Hence, it never appeared that a god or a goddess would have been recognized or valued as a universal creational power, that is, as a male or female creator. A god or a goddess has always appeared as a pronounced mythical being, that is, as a fantasy form of higher might in our fables or fairy tales, which are presented in tear-jerking or satirical or joy-bringing forms, primarily for children. But at the same time, also adults take delight in such stories. Fundamentally, these fairy tales are connected with instructive factors, as well as with legends and true occurrences, which are embellished in the fairy tales, where often a male or female mythical being is interwoven, even a god or a goddess. This, however, with us never leads to the irrational teaching of a creator god or a female creator of all things, because it is fundamentally taught to our children already at an early age that the fairy tales and their figures, etc., only concern mythical beings, and that also a god or a goddess only corresponds to a freely invented form. Thus, it is possible that by such fairy tales in which, for example, animals and creatures speak and are given human behaviors, already small children as well as older children can learn in a wise adapted to their urge for knowledge. Our relevant fairy tales are laid out in such a wise that they contain generally recognized truths with regard to the life conduct and behavior of the human being, which are depicted as practical life wisdoms, etc., etc. Celestial sons and celestial daughters. The extraterrestrials are generally known as celestial sons for the males and celestial daughters for the females. Guardian angels. The male and female leaders and sub-leaders of the Ishwish in the JHRH are known as male and female guardian angels. The term guardian angel is to be understood as guardian messenger and guardian overseer. Travelers from afar. The extraterrestrials are designated as the travelers from the far reaches of the depths of the firmament, outer space. Number 2, Semyasa, the celestial son, extraterrestrial, and guardian angel, guardian messenger, guardian overseer of the Ishwish, the great ruler of the voyagers who traveled here through the vast expanses of the firmament, outer space, took a terrestrial woman and begot Adam, the father of the new, unclouded, light-skinned human species on the earth, the progenitor of new terrestrial light-skinned peoples. Explanation. Through other extraterrestrials who were of darker and other skin color and also of varying sizes, also colored human species were conceived on the earth, from which emerged, with the commingling with the earth-created human beings, various skin colors, as well as dwarf-sized and normal-sized human beings, as well as giants and gigantic ones. From the Semyasa line, Semyasa took a terrestrial, light-skinned woman and begot Adam. The light-skinned human species arose, where these light-skinned ones varied from light, pale brown-skinned up to white-skinned, namely depending on how the gender intermingling came about. And it was determined from the start that only from the Semyasa line would the Nocodemian line be continued on the earth, and thereby the true prophethood with the teaching of the prophets should proceed. The sense was that the teaching of the prophets should equally and amply have validity for all human species, that is, races and peoples, and be spread worldwide. This failed, unfortunately, due to the stubbornness and the greed for might, as well as the tendency towards cults and thought-up divinities, etc., of the human beings of the earth. Consequently, already very early on, the teaching of the prophets was deviated from, and this was replaced by irrational teachings of religions and sects. Here's a list, I believe, from Adam and all of his successors. Adam took himself an earth wife and begot Seth. Seth begot Enos. Enos begot Akjabil. Achabeel begot Aruziak. Aruziak begot Kenan. Kenan begot, I'll try to pronounce this right, Mahalaleel. Mahalaleel begot Urakabarameel. Urakabarameel begot Jared. Jared begot Henoch. Henoch begot Methuselah. Methuselah begot Lamech. Lamech begot Camiel. Camiel begot Danel. Danel begot Asael. Asael begot Samsaphiel. Samsaphiel begot Yamiel. Yamiel begot Terrell. Terrell begot Hamek. Hamek begot Noah. Noah begot Sem. Sem begot Arpaxad. Arpaxad begot Batral. Batral begot Ramuel. Ramuel begot Askeel. Askeel begot Armers. Armers begot Salah. Salah begot Eber. Eber begot Peleg. Peleg begot Regu. Regu begot Serug. Serug begot Araziel. Araziel begot Nahor. Nahor begot Thara. Excuse me if I didn't pronounce those correctly. I'm doing the best I can. And here's more. And Thera begot Abraham. Abram begot Jizak or Yizak. Yizak begot Jacob. Jacob begot Judah. Judah begot Ananje. Ananje begot Ertile. Ertile begot Perez. Perez begot Hezron. Hezron begot Ram. Ram begot Amminadab. Amminadab begot Savebi. Savebi begot Nahisan. Nahisan begot Sana. Sana begot Boaz. Boaz begot Obed. Obed begot Jesse. Jesse begot David. David begot Salomo or Solomon. Salomo begot Asa. Asa begot Gadael. Gadael begot Josaphat. Josaphat begot Yorah or Jorah. Yorah begot Amaniel. Amaniel begot Uzzah. Uzzah begot Jothan or Jothan. Jothan begot Gadriel. Gadriel begot Ahas. Ahas begot Jizak. Jizak, I can't pronounce that. JTJSKJS. And Jitzisca begot Manasseh. Manasseh begot Amon. Amon begot Josiah. Josiah begot Jojakin. Jojakin begot Selphiel. Selphiel begot Yikon. Yikon begot Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel begot Abjud. Again, I apologize for my pronunciation of those words. Abjud begot Eliakim. Eliakim begot Azor. Azor begot Zadok. Zadok begot Achim. Achim begot Eliud. Eliud begot Eleazar. Eleazar begot Mathan. Mathan begot Jacob. And Jacob begot Joseph. And I'll stop there. And in my next reading, I will go cover the explanation on Jmmanuel's genealogy. Until then, have a great day and Salome.